Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. It's Monday night, it's 7:30. It's at least a week since Enzo's left us. Maybe longer, 2 weeks since we knew who's going to be the new Leicester manager. Who do you want? We've got 29 minutes left to discuss that in tonight's Fan Zone show. Who do you want? It's sounding a little bit like it could be Graham Potter, but Steve Cooper's still in the running. David Moyes is still in the running as well there. And then we've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer come out of nowhere. Carlos Corberán starting to drift away. The West Brom manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy, he's drifting away as well. I want to know who you think should be the next Leicester manager and why. So we've got 30 minutes to talk about that in tonight's Fan Zone show. So join me. Who do you want? So simple as that.
Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content, like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live. Thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Follow Blinds, Pocker Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Distillers Direct, Hologram, Take Me, Nubian Co, and the Fox's Arms and Rainbows. We are live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes, good evening. If you're watching this live, don't forget you can get your views in. We're going to get as many comments on screen as we can in the next 29 minutes. Follow us wherever you are at Leicester Fan TV. We're here. We go live whenever there is any breaking news. And we've got our regular Monday night shows, Thursday night shows, Sunday shows at the moment. So join us. Get your views in. Get your comments in. Who do you want and why? Good evening, Gav. Hope you're well. Gav, who do you want? Come on. Steve Cooper, he's there. Graham Potter's come out a bit out of nowhere. Good evening, Richie. Hope you're well. Wayne says Potter is my first choice. Do you agree with that? Canal is saying Potter would be amazing, but he needs to have the right mentality. Graham Potter's not been a manager since he left Chelsea just over 12 months ago. A little bit longer than that. Richie says, I want Potter or Moyes as new manager at Leicester City, but not Cooper. Do you agree with Richie? Craig says, good evening there. Moyes for me as a safe pair of hands, but Lee says Potter all day long. Optimus on YouTube. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere tonight. Optimus on YouTube says, I think Potter is waiting for the England job. I've heard that rumour a few times. Gareth Southgate. Listen, if Gareth Southgate wins the Euros, you never know, it could happen. Maybe he'll quit on a high. If he doesn't do it, maybe he'll think enough is enough, and maybe Graham Potter is ideal for the England job. A few people thinking that. Andy says, why did Leicester take... That is a great question, Andy. I'm going to ask Simon and Tom are going to be joining me very, very shortly for a chit-chat. Why do Leicester take 5 times longer to do things than every other club? I don't know. That's one big question I want to ask Simon and Tom. Here's another question, Andy. Who's signing the players at the moment? Because it ain't a manager, because we ain't going. It couldn't be more obvious. Who's signing these managers? Who's saying we want Vestergaard for 3 years? I'm not saying we do or we don't. But my question is, who signs the players at Leicester? Because it clearly isn't the managers anymore. Bubba is watching out in the States, said never considered Potter because he didn't think he'd come. He's actually, Sky Bet have him down a second favourite at the moment. 2-1 he is, Bubba. Because I didn't think he'd come. It's fine with me if he takes a bit of time, if we end up with Potter. Potter would be a surprise to me, I must admit in there. Jane says Steve Cooper got a point to prove. I've got no problem with Cooper, Moyes or Potter. I'm in quite a good place. I wasn't a fan of Corberán from West Brom. Just didn't think he'd done anything to prove that he could do it. So I'm quite happy if it's one of these three. Nick says I'd take Potter in a heartbeat, but this is just agent talk hyping up their clients. Gav says, what's Claudio doing? Gav, he's having a well-earned rest. He's entitled to retire. Bless him. Give him a breather. Let him drink some Italian wine in an Italian vineyard overlooking Rome. And that's it. Carl is watching in Cyprus. That sounds nice to me, Carl. I hope you're having a glass of wine. Good evening, Lee. Lee has got a fantastic comic coming out. We'll do more on that later, but do stay tuned for that. J.A. Mills says, if not Potter, I prefer Moyes. Cooper can do. A lot of fans are with you, J.A. Mills. J.H. Hartley. What was it? Anyway, if you know what that is, get your answers in. I'm going to get Simon in, and I'm going to get Tom in. So hopefully they're ready. Simon, Tom, good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Well, yourself, Phil?
Good,
Yeah,
good.
Good,
Good
thank
evening,
you.
Tom. Tom,
Evening, mate.
let's go back to one question before we get on to the manager in there. I think it was Andy says here, Tom, why did Leicester take 5 times longer to do things than every other club? Or are we being a bit critical?
It's just the Leicester way, innit? We don't rush these things. Take your time. You know what I mean? Have a nice glass of wine, sign a few players without a manager. It's the Leicester way.
I mean, Simon, joking aside there, like Tom's just said and like I just said, it's pretty clear that somebody at the club signs the players and it isn't a manager.
My assessment of that is that they're enacting the plan that they already laid out with Maresca before he pulled the plug on being Leicester manager. I think there's a lot of talk about them sitting down with Maresca after the end of last season, laying out a plan for this season. Obviously, he committed to the club according to the reports that you read in the media, and then Chelsea turned his head and away he went. But I think they're just carrying on that plan until someone else comes in. But yeah, it's odd. I mean, for the likes of Vestergaard, he just signed a 3-year deal. If the new manager doesn't fancy him, he's going to have a long time warming the bench.
Tom, talking of Vestergaard, I've not been Vestergaard's biggest fan in the Premier League. I thought in the Championship he had a really good season, did very well. I think he earned a 1-year offer, maybe 2 if I was feeling generous. My fear with Vestergaard getting 3, Tom, is that, listen, we're going to the season as probably one of the more favourites to go down anyway, let alone the points deduction. If we were to go down, and it is an if, because I hope we don't, but if we were, have we just given a player a 3-year contract who really, if we were in the Championship for 1 or 2 seasons, that'd be just like blow your mind time, because it's repeating the cliff edge we were on last season, isn't it? For a much older player.
Yeah, but then on the other hand, you'll have clause in the contract about wage cuts and everything like that. Look, Vestergaard in the Premier League, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on this time. I don't think he really got a fair run of games in the Premier League for Leicester. So you can't judge him on what he did, Joe, because he was chucked in games here and there, really never had an opportunity to get a run of games. Yeah, look, his pace is always going to be the bit that worries you. Of course it is. You know, anyone in knows of the Premier League, there's a lot of quick players, and Vestergaard that's one thing he doesn't have, his pace. But if you get relegated, we showed it. He can do it in the Championship, and he's a beast in the Championship. And, you know, for me, if you go down, you've got another centre half there ready to just go back to playing Championship football again.
Simon, I think Vestergaard perhaps earned that right to have another season or maybe 2. He also, what fans have to remember is, with FFP and us being in a financial bit of a pickle, is he's effectively free. There is no big transfer fee for Vestergaard. So yes, we might be paying him some big money week on week, but he's actually cost us nothing to purchase, has he?
Oh, I mean, I suppose, for him, he'll be wanting to, like all of them, will be wanting to impress this new manager, whoever it might be, when he comes through the door. I mean, there'll be players that have been not even on the bench, like Suter, for example, that will be hoping to get right back into the mix of first team contention again. Yeah, I mean, Vestergaard deserves another contract on last season. Do I absolutely agree with Tom that he, like, from a pace point of view, he's going to get found out at times in the Premier League? Absolutely, but he's got some qualities. He displayed them last season, and you know, if the new manager fancies him, why not?
Yeah, I mean, the thing, Tom, the thing I love about doing Leicester Fan TV with you guys is the videos are there forever. I don't mind putting my balls on the line tonight and saying, I don't think Vestergaard's good enough for the Premier League. I've seen him in the Premier League 2 years ago. People can come back and watch it, because I'll gladly say in 6 months' time, I told you so. I didn't think he was good enough. I love it when I'm being doom and gloom and I'm wrong, because I don't want Vestergaard to be bad. I just think a 3-year contract for a player I actually didn't think was really good enough for the Premier League is a strange one. Added to that, new manager comes in. If it's Graham Potter, Tom, and he comes in and he goes, well, I like the look of Cody and Suter, like Simon's just said, why have you signed Vestergaard then?
Again, I think the main reason you hit it earlier was about it's free. I think our fans have got to be realistic this season. We are not going out and spending 30, 40 million on talent this year. We have got to scrape the barrel for what players we can go and find for 15, 20 million max. Vestergaard's a free signing. You take someone who's got Premier League experience in this league. Suter hasn't got any Premier League experience. Christensen, he's got another point to clue. Whoever comes in as manager, he might get a run of games. Again, it will all depend what kind of style the football club want to go down. From signing Vestergaard, it tells me they want to play out from the back because he is a ball playing centre half. There's not many in the club who can do it. Cody isn't confident playing the ball out from the back. He's a good solid defender, but he isn't, someone who's going to really want to play from the back. Faz isn't a ball playing centre half. He makes a lot of mistakes playing out from the back. Vestergaard, who's probably the better one out of the three for playing out with the back, because he has got a bit of vision on him. That's probably the way they want to go down. But again, until we see which manager comes in, it's a very awkward position. We've got players, sitting there, won't know what to do. You think 12 months ago, Suter, Christensen, we're all thinking, right, I'll be gone in 12 months because we'll go up. I'm not going to get a game in the Premier League under Maresca. Now they're coming back thinking, I might get a game in the Premier League again because I did it 12. I did it in the back end of the season. We got relegated. So why can't I have another go?
Ross says here, people talk about Vestergaard's pace, but Cody isn't any faster than him. No, I don't think Vestergaard or Cody are that fast. Jonathan says we shouldn't bother playing the players that buggered off when we're in the Championship. Where is the loyalty in there? Michael says he was okay in the Championship because that's his level in there. Andy says, what's happening with FaZe? Well, Leicester player, as far as we know, Andy, not one to be going. Simon, I do slightly worry that we're making some signings. Vardy for a year, I have no problem with. Vestergaard for a year, I'd have had no problem with, Simon. But I hear what you're saying when you're saying the club probably want to carry on playing the Enzo way. But when we got the three managers who are favourites, Simon, Potter, Moyes and Cooper, they don't play the same way each other. So whichever manager comes in isn't necessarily going to be playing what we'd class as Enzo ball, are they?
No, I think Corberan's probably the closest to that of the candidates that's been touted in the media as being in the mix, but the others, no. But I think it balls back to what Tom just said, that ultimately, right now, we need a squad and we haven't got a lot of money to spend. He's already at the club. He doesn't cost anything other than his salary. And he brings some experience. And he did play well last season, albeit I concur with you that that's not the Premier League. And I think that's the level we're at right now. And I guess that's also forming part of any managerial decision in terms of both not for the club, but also for any managers that are coming in. This is going to be a job next season, and there's not going to be a wealth of funds to support it, I wouldn't think.
So I'll stick with you, Simon, then I'll come to Tom. I'm going to ask you both the same question. I'll put my balls on the line in a video. I don't think Vestergaard's good enough for the Premier League. I sort of see why we've done it. Simon, is he good? Is he good enough in your eyes for the Premier League?
I think he's probably the best passer of a ball at centre half we've got in our squad. There was 2 or 3 times last season he got in a foot race and he looked like he was going through quicksand. So I mean that's the part of it that's going to be troublesome for him, because as Tom alluded to, there's a lot of pace and quality in the attack, especially in the top half of the Premier League, and he's going to get found out. Let's be honest, now and then he's going to get found out in that way. But over the balance of the season, if he brings some other qualities to it, then you've got to balance it up. So, yeah, well, I mean, ultimately, why not?
Did you answer that, Simon? Just about. You could be a politician with that answer, mate. I think that was just about, yes.
It'll do for me. Would it be my choice if I had a piece of paper and no parameters to it? No, but we're not in that boat, Phil. We've got to make the best of what we've got this season and keep ourselves in the Premier League for me.
Yeah, indeed. Ross says here, I can't wait for Yannick to prove everybody wrong. Yannick's story. I love it. Hope he does, Ross. Hope he does. I want people to know if they can put in the comments, because Tom's going to answer it. Do you think he is good enough for the Premier League? Jonathan says here, he's good if you're not asking him to play 30 passes inside his own box before we push forward. Right a couple of times. So, Tom, put your balls on the line as such. Is Vestergaard good enough for the Premier League? Your prediction for next year? Or after 10 games, am I going to be going, whoo, look at these Premier League strikers just running rings around him? Told you so.
I think having him as a squad player, yes. As a starter, no.
Okay.
That's my
well, there you go. Yeah.
I think playing week in, week out, no, because he'll get found out too many. There's too many quick players in the Premier League. The top 12 teams in that league have all got 1 or 2 really quick players. And for me, in the Championship, there's only a handful of players that could do any damage to him. For me, if he's going to come and play the occasional game when you need to, then definitely experience, or 20 minutes to go, going into a back three, to fill the holes and stuff. It all depends for me, though, is how we play, and that's the biggest thing. If you play deep, then I would play Yannick Vestergaard, because he's so big, he fills the holes, and you're not going to get him expecting to run back too much. If you're playing a high line, it's suicide for me in the Premier League playing Yannick. For me, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting question here, and I will answer it because I think it was a good question. Richard says here, according to your theory, why has Vardy been given a 1-year deal? He only got 3 goals 2 years ago in the Premier League. That's a fair question, Richard. Again, I'll pose it on to Simon and Tom. For me, Richard, over the course of his 10, 11, 12 years, Jamie Vardy has beyond proven that he is a goal scorer. Again, he got a hatful last season. I think used in the right way next year in the season, and I do think the striker's role is a big debate, Simon, but I think used in the right way, maybe as a 20, 30-minute sub, maybe starting some games. Jamie Vardy, for me, a 1 year, that's sensible. I'm more than happy with that.
Me too. Impact player next season, I guess. Just as you alluded to, he's not going to play a multitude of games. He's fit. His own fitness probably won't allow that, let alone anything else. But as an impact player, I reckon most Premier League sides would have him off the bench for 20 minutes at the end of a game. And Christ, who are we to look at Jamie Vardy and say no, we don't want you anymore? I mean, for what he's done for the club, it's just immense. And that desire and drive, his desire and drive was for me, a factor in us getting over the line at the end of last season as well. And you absolutely want that next season. And he's been there, he's done it, he's won the Premier League. And why wouldn't you want that guiding the rest of the squad into the new season?
Tom, Jamie Vardy, good enough for 1 more year. However, the new manager decides to use him. I actually want to add to that, Tom. I think Enzo, Brendan Rodgers and Claude Puel never really set up a team to suit Jamie Vardy to his absolute advantage. Maybe a new manager might.
Enzo never set him up, but he's still got 20 goals last season.
Yeah.
That says it all for me. Look, Jamie Vardy, less games next year, not playing Saturday, Tuesday, plenty of time to rest and recover. I think you'll be quite shocked to see that he will start more games than he comes off at the bench, in my view, that next season, as he'll get a lot more time to have a 4 or 5 day recovery session before he plays. He won't train. I think he's already started that routine that he doesn't really train that much in the week. It's very few and far between that he's out on the training pitch. But I think you'll be surprised. And I still think he'll score 10, 12 goals next season back in the Prem. Look, and it's not just 1 year, Phil. It's 1 + 1 + 1, because he's still got 10 more years, remember.
Yeah. You never know. We asked for 10 more years. I think 1 more year is decent, isn't it? J.A. Mills says here, Vardy's earned his legend status and absolutely deserves 1 more crack at the Premier League. If he can get anywhere near the 20 of last season, and I wouldn't bet against it, we'll be fine. J.A. Mills, I'd say to you there, if he was to get us 8 or 10 goals somehow next year in the Premier League, that could be vital, Simon, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it worries me a little bit. Obviously, Iniacho's been released. That leaves us with Daka, Cannon and Vardy. Who's starting? I mean, I know Tom suggested he'll start quite a few games, but our experience of last season is he did pick up a knock quite regularly, Vardy. So who's going to take the kind of brunt of it up front for us? And I think for me, we need a new signing up top.
Tom, I mean, that's an interesting question, and I wouldn't like to answer that because there seems like Cannon last season wasn't particularly liked too much to start. Daka. Jamie Vardy is, like Simon says, he is towards the end of his age and we'll get some games out of him. And Nacho's gone.
Let's be honest. Nacho never really showed his full potential when he was here. He had half a season in the COVID year when we won the FA Cup that he was like Messi. Everything he touched turned to goal. But let's be honest, he couldn't trap a bag of sand half the time. He was clumsy on the ball. I wasn't Kelechi's biggest fan. I'm sorry. He could make things happen. He could make the norm look absolutely sublime, but he wasn't consistent enough. His confidence levels, if he missed 2 or 3 chances, had gone out the window. And then it took him 4 or 5 games to get back to anywhere half decent again. The club obviously are going to spend some money. They've got targets. They're not going to sit here and know that we can go up with a squad of players and lose someone like Nacho for nothing, that they're going to have to strengthen. Cannon, well, look, came in unfit at the start of the season, took till Christmas to get a couple of games. But I looked last season, it was whoever was playing well got a start. Nacho started the season up front, had a few good games. Daka then came in, had a few good games. Vardy then started to take the position and basically ran with it to the end of the year. Got injured. Cannon had a couple of games because obviously Daka was at the AFCON. So it was Nacho. It was hit and miss last season who was going to play, because I don't truly believe any of the strikers really suited the way Enzo played. I don't, Cannon is a target man or a ball in behind, same as Vard. Vard is a ball in behind, not making the play up. Nacho probably is the only one who suited that role, mainly the one who liked to drop deep.
Yeah.
But after his form went out the window by September, October time, he dropped to the bench, and then look at the back end of the season. He wasn't even on the bench for the last, 8 to 10 games. He couldn't get sniffed near the bench. So the club are going to have to sign players. I think they were talking today about a midfielder for Newcastle, Longstaff, 15 to 20 million. Again, wouldn't be a bad signing for us to go for someone like him with Premier League experience. But we are going to need a striker to come in who knows this league. For me, you've got to go inside proven Premier League, or players who've been in the Premier League for a couple of years. Even if they've got relegated, they need to know what this league is about, because we can't come into it with nothing, because we won't stay up in that way.
Right, we've got about 10 minutes left, and I'm going to ask Simon this, Tom this, and I want everybody who's watching this. I want to know, who do you want as manager and why? And there's almost two parts to that, Simon. I'll come to you first. Who do you want as manager and why? And then really, I suppose the next question is, who do you think it's going to be? Because it might not be the same person as who you actually want. And just to remind people, at the moment on Sky Bet, Steve Cooper is 11-8 favourite. Graham Potter has come into 2-1. So there's obviously, it's probably just people betting on Potter, but there is a lot of paper talk that it could be Potter at 2-1. David Moyes is 3-1, and then Ollie Solskjaer at 10-1. There's obviously others, Simon. The question here is, and for everybody watching, who do you want as manager and why?
Okay. I think there's 4 serious candidates, Phil, at the minute from what the media are telling us, as you've just alluded to. I don't fancy Steve Cooper. I don't think he really did enough at Forest to prove that he'd get us away from danger, especially if we're going to start with a significant points deduction. So I would rule him out, per my personal opinion. I don't fancy Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't think he's managed at that sort of level enough to have the experience to understand how to nick points here and there and just try and get some momentum going. So that leaves 2. And if I had a choice, I'd pick David Moyes, if I'm honest. I think Moyes has got the experience, the pedigree, the nous at that end of the league to pull out a few results when you desperately need them and the tide's against you. I think we have to accept as a club that next season is going to be tricky. Points deductions, financial restrictions, all the rest of it. If those were the 4 on the table, I would back Moyes to keep us clear of harm. And I think, being honest, Phil, keeping clear of harm next season is really our goal, given, especially if there's 15 points being deducted before we've even kicked the ball.
So I hear what you've said there, Simon, and you think balancing it all up, it's Moyes. Tom, again, same question to you. I'm putting other people's comments on screen and we'll come to them at the end. But Tom, who do you want as manager and why?
Don't want Steve Cooper. No interest in that at all. Doesn't float my boat. Doesn't do anything for me to make think we'd stay with the league. We'd probably go down quicker than Derby did, and we wouldn't get even out of the minus points. As for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the wheel, how good does it feel? I could manage Manchester United with that squad of players he had and doing a half decent job. Not be funny, he did nothing at Cardiff when he was there for like half a season. I've said it from day one, and I'll keep saying it. For me, it's David Moyes. There's only one person to come into this football club this year, well, even over a 2-year project, to try and to get a bit of stability. His pedigree second to none. Many years at Everton, Man United even, and then obviously at West Ham in the last few years where he won a European Cup. So he can't have been that bad a manager. I think his time at West Ham went down towards the end because I think the fans just had enough and they wanted something freshening up there, what they've done. But David Moyes, for me, I've said it from day one, he's the manager to come in and steer this ship, clear relegation. He's got the expertise. For me, bringing in his backroom team, Mark Noble, and especially ex-Leicester City player, Billy McKinley, who was in his coaching staff, wouldn't be a bad shout because he knows the club. It would give us something that we knew what was coming into. Look, ideally, if we weren't coming up with the point deduction or that, you'd be saying Potter's the number one target. But I think with the points deduction, you've got to go safe here and really go for someone who knows what he's coming into. And truly believe that even if we start with anywhere from 9 to 15 points, David Moyes will somehow find those wins to keep you in the league because he knows what he's doing to get teams out. And he's a manager who's experienced relegation battles. He's a manager experienced winning Europa competitions in the last 10 years. So for me, he's the man to come and take this club 2-3 seasons max. It isn't a long-term appointment. It's not something you go 5-6 years like the one to win Maresca. It is a manager to come in for 2 to 3 years and steady the ship, keep you in the Premier League, and then you build again. For me, if you get 17 next year, I'll snap my hand off now.
Michael says here, David Moyes was sacked by Manchester United and other clubs. He's not good enough. I think Michael, he did do a decent job at West Ham, more than decent. Stefan says they'd only be coming in for a wage. Craig says, Stefan, that's football, mate. They're all coming in it for a wage.
Say, football's money.
Yeah, Stefan, have you not worked that out yet? Simon has to go to work and earn money to go and watch Leicester. I have to go to work to earn money to watch Leicester. Tom does. I have to pay money for my shirts. We all do, Stefan. We're the only ones. The fans are the only ones who truly are in it because we love it.
Football is the only industry that you can go and sign a 5-year contract like Potter did at Chelsea and then get sacked after 6 months and going to get paid 20 million a year for 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
it says it all. I'm sorry. You can get sacked and you're getting paid off 120 odd million. That says it all about football to me. So, yeah. You can't say he's just coming for the money because football is all about money.
I mean, Karen says here, does Moyes want the job though? My answer to that, Karen, and I'm interested to hear maybe what Simon says. If Moyes didn't want the job, if he wasn't interested, it takes 10 seconds to go onto Twitter and say, I've seen the Leicester rumours. Thanks, guys. It'd be an honour to manage a club like Leicester, but I'm just exhausted. Like I said, I want a little bit of time. Family time, holiday time, whatever. If Moyes wasn't interested in the job, for a start, I don't think it'd be 2-1 at the bookies. And I think also he would have just snubbed it out, wouldn't he, Simon? Same for Potter and same for Cooper.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we've had anyone snub it out, as you said, yet. Of those four, the club's obviously doing its diligence over the different candidates. For me, I think we fit the Moyes kind of criteria, really. I think he was found out a little bit at Man United, but to be fair, I think anyone who followed Alex Ferguson into Man United was going to have a run deal. So
yes.
Let's not be too hard on him for that, and let's not also discount all of those superb seasons he had at Everton prior to that as well. The guy is hugely experienced. I think we fit the mould for him. In terms of our club, its size, its stature, it's the sort of thing he's used to. And I think he likes those situations where there's a bit of adversity as well. I think he revels in that. And I don't know whether they've even spoken to him. I don't, obviously we don't know. It's all paper talk, but they'd be crazy not to, in my opinion. I think he's by far and also let's not forget the candidates we're talking about are all out of work. There's no compensation here, and that might be a factor for the club that they don't have to pay out a pile of money at the minute to get a manager in.
Tom, here's my final sort of question to you. I think all three of us actually have Moyes down for sensibility reasons as our number one choice. Potter would be a longer term better choice potentially, but I'm with you two in the fact that I think next season is almost another one-off season. Backs against the wall. Use Jamie Vardy, whatever it takes. Get the ball up. Vardy score a few goals. Keep the ball out that net, however it happens. But Tom, my question really, one of the last ones for you guys both is, how quick does this all need to happen? Because there's a hell of a lot of sorting out to go on. I know it's key to get the right manager, but we've known about Enzo wanting to go for 2 weeks now. So we joked at the start about typical Leicester taking forever, Tom, but how quick do you think are you expecting and hoping to hear that we've appointed somebody in the next 48 to 72 hours so that we can crack on with everything else?
I think you're hoping more than praying there, Phil. 48 hours. I could see he's going in for the next probably 5 to 10 days before you'll find out who the Leicester manager is amongst you. I think it will go on a little bit longer. I think the board are going to take the time and make sure they do the right things, do the right checks on the managers, who's going to come in, who they really feel is going to have the right stuff to do the main job. Leicester's got one job issue, and I think the board know it, and that is staying up and then staying up again the following season. So they've got to be very, very clever. I think the West Brom manager is again, that's just publicity in my head. I don't think the club would ever look at him, not at the moment, because I don't think he's got the experience to do anything. He's a young manager, he's done quite well, and he's got a good reputation. But I think the club know this year, financially, the club has just got to stay up. And look, we don't know. None of us know. It's all speculations at the end of the day. But I think you'd be mad if we can't. If David Moyes wants the job, we'd be mad not to be taking it. I really believe that.
Simon, again, Richie says here, Leicester City board need to get a manager in before pre-season, which pre-season starts in a couple of weeks, I think. I think it's not too far. Well, it's obviously in a couple of weeks for those not at the Euros. Simon, it's important to get the right manager, as we've said. Are you expecting to, do you think this time next week, next Monday, when we're doing the Fan Zone show again, there'll be a manager in place?
Well, I hope so. I hope so, Phil. You know, I absolutely concur with someone who commented earlier that the club takes way too long over stuff like this, and it's got a habit of it. And it isn't just managers, it's players. You know, when we sign players, that seems to take longer than other clubs. We seem to really procrastinate over stuff like this. And it's you know, right now, as we alluded to earlier in this chat, you know, we're signing players without a manager. We need to get a manager in rapidly. We need to get a strategy in place for this season quickly so we can start to formulate a squad to suit that manager's style and an outlook for this season. And, you know, for me, really, you know, if they've identified the man, go and get it done, get on with it, give the guy a chance now while the Euros are going on to start straightening things out. And let's just crack on and get a plan in place to give us the best chance to stay up next season.
Tom, you were looking forward to a quiet, like close season, weren't you, mate? And just a little bit of Euros, none of this Leicester chat. That's what I was looking forward to, and it's been very busy last couple of weeks.
Oh, mate, I thought we'd be, you know, having a few beers, hoping to sign a few players, hoping one or two players would sign new contracts, and Diddy and all that, and, you know, them trying to strengthen where we needed to with, you know, with whatever money we had available. The possibility of KDH obviously was going to be the big talking point to get some funds into the club. Didn't think we'd be sitting here, you know, in first, second week of June thinking, right, we need a new manager. Never in my wildest dreams did I think we'd be thinking we need another manager and that Enzo was going to sign for Chelsea, because just you didn't see that happening. So to be sitting here now thinking we need another manager after only getting one last year, not from the sake of sacking someone because we've been relegated to League One or something like that, I think none of us would have been sitting at the end of years thinking this was going to happen. Even with Enzo being a little bit upset with probably the way it was financially sold the club, I don't think he was told the whole truth. That might come down to that why he's also gone a little bit. But look, we are where we are. We're Leicester City. It's always a roller coaster. We do things by halves, and we never do it the easy way. So it wouldn't be Leicester if we didn't have something to talk about each week, Phil. Hey,
Simon, yeah, I agree. Simon, last little quick answer if you can. Do you wish Enzo well, or do you feel like he's done a bit of a nasty on us? What do you think his reception will be at the King Power?
I don't think he'll get I think he'll get a mixed reception. I think probably. I think there'll be those that will be grateful for him getting us back out of the Championship in one season, which, despite the wealth of squad he had, was quite a feat to turn it round from what was a thoroughly sunken ship at the end of the season before. So it'll be a mixed reception. Do I wish him well? I don't wish him any ill. He got us promoted. That's what we wanted. Am I disappointed he's not stayed? I'm on the fence, if I'm honest. I'm not sure if his stubbornness and style would have maybe run us into trouble next season. So I don't think it's the end of the world, if I'm honest, that he's gone.
No, I agree, Tom. I'm a bit with Simon's sentiments there. I don't even know who the manager is, but I'm probably more looking forward to a style of play that isn't Enzo ball. People will shoot me for that, but I wasn't the biggest fan of Enzo ball. I was pretty clear on it. I prefer something a bit more direct and exciting. So, Tom, your final views on Enzo?
Good luck to him. We move on.
Yeah,
that's it. You know, no one's bigger than the club, Phil. No one will ever be bigger than the club. So good luck to him. He did his job, what he was paid to come and do, and he's gone. So we move on, and you know the reception he gets will be the reception he gets in mind. I won't boo him, but nor will I clap him. You know, as far as going, he came he's did one season. He isn't going to get the reception like a Pearson or a Claudio. He doesn't even deserve to be in those brackets. So good luck to him. We move on and we find someone better.
Tom, thanks so much for joining us tonight. You've been a legend.
Cheers,
as always. Thank you, Tom. And thank you, Simon, as well. Politicians' answers at times, but Simon, we got there in the end.
Take care, mate. Nice to see you.
Always classic. Thank you so much for having Simon on. Always a balanced view. So much for Simon, for Tom, and of course, thanks for all your views. We can't do the show without all your comments. So let's get the last couple in there. Tony says, Enzo used LCFC as a stepping stone. I wasn't keen on the football or his attitude to the fans when criticised. I feel a bit the same, Frank, in there, but I do thank him for getting us up there. Reedy was a big Enzo fan. Reedy says, hope he fails miserably, and we know how he plays, so it's a win against Chelsea next season. Will it be the first game of the season? Chelsea v Leicester? You know it probably will be. Tony says, 10 million compo for Enzo, wasted on Vestergaard contract in there. You could be writing headlines, Tony, with that. Carl says, Enzo could have thanked us. Don't think he did. I think, like we say, he's moved on. He's moved on. Richie gets the last comment, says, Leicester City. Thanks, Richie. Richie's guaranteeing this. I'll see you next Monday at 7:30, where Richie says we'll have a new manager in before next week. Thanks as ever for Tom, for Simon, and for all your views and comments. Don't forget, Locks is live this Thursday with Fox's Focus, and as ever, the famous Aftermath show is live at 9:30 on Sunday. And of course, Leicester Fan TV will be live whenever anything happens. So the minute that new manager is announced, or we've given Frankie Worthington a new 10-year contract or whatever, of course, that's not going to happen, but you get the idea. We'll go live. So I'll see you very, very soon. Cheers all.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Barlow Blinds, Booker Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Distillers Direct, Hologram, Take Me, Nubian Cow, The Fox's Arms and Rainbows. Run by the fans, for the fans. Follow us on socials at Leicester Fan TV and visit leicesterfantv.com for all the latest news, views and videos.